So today's day 2 of me talking in front of the camera for 10 minutes each day. The purpose of this particular video is I noticed that I've been saying a lot in my videos, so I want to take the out. So hopefully that will be the last time I say that in this entire video. I want it to be fluid and continuous, but the main point is to get rid of all of those attacher words or things that are just filling up space for no reason, like like kind of, sort of, all that stuff. Get rid of it. So starting at this moment. So the last video that I was talking about learning and how I take different golden nuggets from different things and I find a good use for them all of a sudden years in the future. So a good example of that is actually when I was in college, when I was in university, I was studying in Boston and I was studying to be a doctor. Actually, I wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. The pre-medical program taught me a lot about science, and I was actually shadowing with doctors and everything, and it taught me a lot about the process, and I got to learn a lot about the medical field itself. There are some really interesting and amazing people who work in the medical field. I just decided from that time that I was working in the medical field and shadowing that I didn't want to do it, but I still had all this scientific knowledge that's just I jammed into my head for so long that just sat there, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. So with all of that information, I just cataloged it and really forgot about it for the most part until years later. And I actually, no, not even years later, I was working still in college and starting to switch tracks, just deciding that I didn't want to do pre-medical anymore. And I decided to study a more Eastern style medicine outside of the US. I went to Peru, where I speak Spanish, but I actually lived with a tribe of people in Peru and learned one of their medicines. I learned one of their medicines, and through that experience, I learned a lot about the spiritual aspect of healing. I went down there and learned from a specific person. I eventually stayed with a tribe and taught them some things. They taught me some things. And then I took this medicine called Combo back to the US and I started serving it here. And I was able to look at the medicine, understand what it was, learn about the peptides that were in it, and start to attach a meaning to those and what they do in the body. So not only was I looking at it from this westernized or easternized lens of this gets into the body, it cleans out the spirit, it rejuvenates good luck, I was also able to look at the actual medicine itself and look at the different peptides and decide how they interact with the body just based off of prior knowledge, and really create a more specific approach to how Combo will help each individual person by knowing what symptoms they're going through, what they're wanting to treat, and what inside of Combo may address that or may not. If it could make it worse or better, what are the contraindications of sitting with this and having other medications in the body? All of that I had no idea was going to use until after the fact. I feel as though a lot of students who started out pre-med and switched tracks, they just crumple all that information up into a ball and throw it in the trash can and move on to their next thing. Or they get in a similarly related field like nursing or physician's assistant or whatever else that they find in the medical field. I just feel as though all of that information is useful. Everything that we learn is and can be useful in the right circumstance, in the right setting. If we take that information and either don't take the time to learn about it or learn it or throw it away so flippantly, we miss the opportunity for in the future when that information might become more useful, or we might be in a situation where we can use that information. We don't have it, or we didn't take the time to learn it. And now something that would have been easier in the future, like me serving combo today, wasn't, because I didn't learn the information that I was able to connect pieces together. It's really interesting how the things we learn weave out into every aspect of our lives. Me doing this to learn how to present on YouTube, become more personable on camera, and feel more comfortable in front of it, this could lead to anything. It could lead to me creating videos on YouTube. It could lead to me acting on television. It could lead to me literally just doing my own commercials for the business that I already run. I don't really know where this road leads and what this information that I'm learning is going to lead to, but I know that it's going to lead somewhere, and I know that this skill will benefit me in the future. If there's one thing that I could have all of you realize or teach you my perspective on, is anything that you're approaching has a beautiful use to it. But if you're holding a hammer and everything is going to look like a nail, you got to have other tools in your toolbox so you know how to approach the problem. So that is where I left off in the last episode, and it brought us most of the way through this one. But continuing forward with what I want to achieve out of this process, it's actually really difficult not to use these connector phrases that I was talking about in the beginning. I actually caught myself doing it once earlier in the video, and I know that this particularly is going to take more effort than other things. I actually noticed that those connector phrases I used 37 times in the last video. That's one for every 20 seconds. Actually less. It's a little over one for every 15 seconds. That's a lot of your time that was eaten up by me saying these phrases that added no value to the video. They didn't add anything. They just kind of ate up your time. So the biggest reason for me wanting to approach and change these things is because I want to waste the least amount of your time possible and make everything that I say to you valuable. I want it to have the maximum amount of value possible without wasting anything. Another thing that I plan to work on in my future videos, once I can get down these connector phrases, is repetition. I've noticed that I've been repeating phrases over and over again. That's another time waster for you guys that doesn't need to be in these videos. So that's my approach to making these videos better as I go along. I've also noticed that as of right now, 10 minutes is kind of a long time to be talking to this screen. I kind of run out of things to say. Oh no. So it's gotten difficult. However, in other aspects of my life, I have begun to look at how am I presenting information to people as well. I've started to look at what can I say in fewer words, get the same point across, and maybe even make what I'm saying more interesting. Those are the kind of thoughts and ideas that I'm trying to keep up with every minute of every day. That's a little intense, but I really want to shape myself into a better speaker as time passes. I've had a few events where I've gotten in front of a group of people and just talked, and it went really well. I still had a couple of those connector phrases and time buyer phrases in my speaking, but for the most part, it's a lot easier when I can see how people's body language are responding to what I'm saying and deciding what to say next based off of how they're reacting to what I say. So far, my approach to killing these connector phrases is the same one that I use in person, which is to slow down my speaking. However, that is not going to work for YouTube. You guys' attention is short, just like mine, and also your time is valuable. And if I want to maintain retention, I need to stop pausing as well. But for now, it's working as a good tool to keep me from using those connector phrases. Anyway, this is the end of day 2. Thank you for sticking around and watching my gibberish. If you have so far, I appreciate you. I've done significantly better today than I did yesterday, and if I was to pass the torch off to you, all I ask is that in your live today or tomorrow is try to do something a little bit better today than you did yesterday, and you'll be moving forward, and moving forward is where we need to be. If you want to check out my other videos, or if you want to subscribe, please feel free to check those out. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in and keep being you.